Good morning, Shave Cadre. This is my first video vlog to speak of, so I thought I'd go ahead and start off with a good shave with that, and also at the end of the shave show you the maintenance that I do on my razors, because I really have not honed any one of my razors for probably a year or so with the maintenance that I do between a transarc hone and stropping. So we'll look at that at the end of the shave. First of all, I want to thank everybody for your support for Spaz, our mallard duck who's got a broken leg. Things are going pretty well so far. We'll see what happens. We've got a vet appointment later today at 5:30, or excuse me, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'm not wearing the Utah Ute shirt that I was given to by Chad because I forgot. Normally I do wear it during my shaves, but I had actually forgot that we used it to clean the duck pen, and Daffy, our other Pekin duck, uses it as a chew toy. So unfortunately, it cannot make an appearance today. Sorry, Chad. As most of you know, I am actually in Master Barber's training as we speak right now. It's about 12 months in length, including the state exam. And I wanted to do my hair before I shave today to show you that, yes, the students know what they're doing. This is the gentleman's haircut, which is part of the test for the state board. There's a number of other haircuts such as fades, mohawks, faux hawks, and all that. I'm excited. I've done about 10 haircuts so far, and they all turned out pretty well. In other words, nobody stabbed me, and I was tipped, so they must be pretty good. I chose the school that I chose because Ray Campos Senior, you can look it up. He's been cutting hair since 1953. At one time, he was ranked second in the world as far as hair cutting, and he's got the oldest barber college in Tucson. And so it was a no-brainer for me. I mean, if I'm going to take this jump at this stage of my life, going from being retired to semi-retired to being retired to going to school and do that kind of stuff for a living, I wanted to have the best. So anyways, so for the shave today, here's what we're doing. We're using Santa Maria del Fiore Razor Rock. We're using our TSC brush, which is blooming a little bit right now. And we're using our JP El Camisi straight razor. This is an Italian razor actually made in, for the New York City market, probably mid-1900s, somewhere in there. I do also have in my popcorn popper my hot towel, 2 minutes on high if you guys want to try to do that. And then, of course, my sponge and my other stuff. The weather here in Tucson's been rather odd. Our monsoon season started the 15th, and if I go back and forth, I've got the camera facing me, so I'm not looking right at the camera sometimes. And it's been rather strange because we got remnants of Hurricane Bill, or Bob, or whatever, Bud, that was his name, came through here. So we received 2 good days of really, really good rain. The plants are liking it, the critters are liking it, and everything else. But now we've got a little bit higher humidity, and we're approaching, I think, 102, 103 today. So I picked the Santa Maria del Fiore because it's a nice cooling soap. So I'll probably speed this up after the edit, but we'll go ahead and get started with the pre-shave. Excuse me. And all I do is rub water in my face, you know, and you want to rub it fairly hard because, once again, this gets the sebaceous glands going, and the sebaceous glands are what secretes oil and makes your beard softer, so it's a good thing to do. Here we're going to go ahead and just lather up a quick lather in the wonderful TSC brush that Eric was so kind to make, and you members were so kind to give, and I certainly do appreciate it. The Santa Maria del Fiore is just a wonderful soap. It lathers really, really easy. And this is just the pre-shave. And what I'll do with that is I'll just take it and rub it pretty hard all around the areas where we're shaving. Now, I know that Chad had indicated that I believe when we get to 100 members, he will shave off his facial hair. Well, as we all know, he went down to a costume shop and got some latex and a fake mustache, and so it's no big deal for him. But for Chris and I, who have spent years cultivating, whether it be our handlebar or our goatee, The challenge is going to be a little bit more. I am not going to speak for Chris, but for me, if we get to 500 members, I will whack it all off for the members of TSC, if it doesn't happen beforehand. So anyhow, I'm just rubbing this in to get the sebaceous glands going. I'll rinse my hands and go with the hot towel. Now, I don't know if the steam translates on the towel. I use the Fendra hand towels. They're made for wet shaving, and they're just wonderful. So I'll do my Frito Bandito just to get everything in. And then I'll just pull that off, and then I'll go straight to face lathering. And I will speed this up because we all kind of know what we're doing when it comes to lathering, I think. But anyhow, we were talking about the weather, and we're in it for the next 3 or 4 months. The afternoons will heat up, and we really don't usually get our first monsoon until July 4th. And we have an area called A Mountain, which is at the bottom of where Tucson, which Tucson is the oldest inhabited community in the United States. And that's where it was started. So they light all the fireworks off for the city fireworks show. Well, inevitably, they always light the mountain on fire. And that's when we know monsoon's really here. And it's usually July 4th. And then we continue to get monsoon storms all the way through the end of August into early September. And then things start cooling off finally in mid-October. But it gets really sweltering. I know you guys are in the Midwest, are in the 90s and stuff with 85% humidity, are saying, well, yeah, Dave, but you guys have 2, 3, 4% humidity. It's true, but this time of year it starts to kick up a little bit, and it can get pretty uncomfortable. So what I'll do is I'll add a little bit more lather. And I spend a lot of time on this first lathering because I want to really get the lather into my skin and get those hairs to really be softened up. Now what I'll do is I'll take my hot towel that I used for that, and I'll just wipe off the area that I'm going to be shaving in. I know this is probably a step that most people don't do, but I'm weird. Xenomorphs have to look good. So I do have a sponge to wipe the blade on, and we'll go ahead and go through this. I do a crosshand technique very, very similar to Chement's. So here we go. I will be doing a more comprehensive step-by-step straight shave video in the future. To show the steps that I use. But if you haven't gotten into straights yet, do it. If you don't hone, don't worry about all the extra maintenance. You'll get into it slowly but surely. And you still have your Ds. But this is absolutely the funnest way to shave. It's funny because in the class, there are 14 distinct steps that must be followed to pass the Arizona State exam. And that being said, you have to also do it with your dominant hand. Well, when I shave, as you guys can see, I shave with both hands. So believe it or not, everybody had indicated that doing the straight shave was going to be the easiest part of the school for me. And I mentioned this in a couple of responses to your kind words, that actually it is the toughest, because I'm having to forget things, and I'm having to forget steps that I normally use in the shop or whatever the case may be to show people how to straight shave, to dial this in. So it's been quite frustrating. We're going to rinse for the first pass. And so it's been tough. First week was tough. Basically at one point, one of the instructors laughed at me and tied my right hand behind, or attached it to one of my belt loops with some rope, so I wouldn't use my right hand to switch the razor to. Now, it was only for a couple of seconds, but because I need to use it for stretching the skin, but it was still pretty daunting. So that's going to probably be the biggest challenge that I'm going to have in the barbering school. Believe it or not, the hair cutting, although, I'm still obviously very much a novice, is actually going very well. And the gentleman's haircut, which is what I have, as I said earlier, is the one they test for. The fades and the faux hawks and the clipper cuts and the buzz cuts and stuff like that are all part of it, but they're relatively straightforward, where there's a definitive system on a gentleman's haircut that I never knew about. And it's pretty interesting. Okay, here we go with pass 2, and hopefully you guys have not fallen asleep yet. I mean, the good news is that I was comfortable with straight shaving to begin with, so it's not like it's totally alien to me. But even though using a shavette or using a straight razor is legal in the state of Arizona, the schools won't let you do that during the schooling. You have to use one of the shavettes. Now, the shavette that they give you in our pack is a Parker. It's a nice shavette, don't get me wrong, but it uses a D blade, which means you got 1.5 inches, 2 inches of blade, where I'm used to shaving with 3 inches. So I did that for the first 3 or 4 days when I was doing my shaves on clients, because know that the barber school is actually a barber shop as well. So all the students, we do class 1 hour in the morning before the shop opens, and then we actually cut the rest of the day. So we are an actual fully functioning barbershop at a much discounted level, obviously, and people know that they're coming in and they've got students cutting their hair, but it's a working shop, which I kind of like, because I like being thrown right into the middle of it. But anyhow, so the shaves I've done with the shavettes that they provided. Give me a second here. However, I did ask if I could use my feather. Because the Feather DX, the folding DX, it has to be folding. I couldn't use my Camisori, but it has to be a folding razor. And we know that the DX is every bit as good as a regular straight. The only thing, blades are more expensive. However, As long as your blade is washed off and it spends a minimum of 10 minutes in barbicide, they don't have to be changed out every single client. That's a big myth in the barbering world, that you must change the blade out after every client. Now, with the cheap derby blades or stuff like that, double-edged blade, sure. I mean, they 2 cents, but at the prices the feather blades are, that can be really expensive. So, using the feather system and the feather blades even makes it more comfortable for me. And being able to take the blade out, cleaning it, putting it in barbicide for 10 to 15 minutes, and reloading it will give me, 5-6 shaves on clients, because that's probably the farthest I'll go. Even though I can pull them to 10 to 15, I'll probably only go 5 to 7 and then change them out. Of course, I have to buy these myself, but I feel much more comfortable. And when I go up to the state to get the boards, I've known that razor for so long. Plus, it's going to give the client a better raise, because like us, we can go 3 passes, with the grain, against the grain, across the grain. In the state, you can't. You basically do 1 pass, and you have to use their lather, which is out of a lather machine, which is, well, does the word crap mean anything to you? But we still have to use it. And then after that first pass, which, like I said, is a combination of with the grain, across the grain on most areas, since you're doing it that way. However, the second pass is done with, in the state board test, with water only, and it's the actual cleanup pass. But it's freehand, so you can do it however you want. So that's nice for me. But in the initial part of the shave, as you're learning a barber shave, you've got, I'm left-handed, so you've got freehand technique, but you also have backhand technique because you're using your only hand, your only dominant hand. So it's fun. It's definitely challenging, and I got to tell you, after shaving with a straight for the better part of 4 years now, I've got 950 some odd shaves in, getting ready to get to 1,000. I was a little cocky in how I did straight shaving, and and it's humbling. It really is. You get to realize that there's always something to learn. Okay, we're going to do our across the grain pass here, so enjoy. And even though there's no menthol in this Santa Maria del Fiore, it has a real cooling feel. So there's something in this that makes it feel nice and cool. Now, understandably, as most of you know, I'm probably the oldest. In fact, I am the oldest in this class. Most of the kids, 19, 20, some right out of high school, some after, in their 30s that hated their career. So I'm the old man of the bunch. But to be a little bit non-humbling, at the end of the week, the instructors and the owner came up to me and said, all the instructors and even the students have come up and said that, they think it's really cool that you're doing this and that you already look like a barber. So that was kind of cool. And one of the instructors, I guess with the way I look, and here you go, Chad, here's some ammunition, has named me Inspector Gadget. I have no idea why. I mean, they do know I like gadgets, but I have no idea. The funny thing is the instructor, of course, is younger than me. One of the owner's son is my age, but the other one is much younger, who is my instructor. And of course, Ray, the owner, who is 86, and he still cuts hair every single day. And he's amazing to watch. If any of you are old enough to remember a movie or have seen a movie called The Hustler with Paul Newman and Jackie Gleason, there was a part in the film where Paul Newman was losing his butt. And he got himself cleaned up, and he looked and he said, take a look at that. He's like a dancer. And that's exactly how Mr. Campos is. He is like a dancer when he is cutting hair. It's just amazing to watch him. And I feel privileged, and it keeps me busy and everything else. Okay, so the shave done. It's DS, BBS, Dolphin Smooth. I'm not going to go chase. I mean, there's a couple of little doomajiggies down here that I always chase, but I'm not going to. Putting on the aftershave salve. This is the Vanishing Cream. I finished up. Well, actually, I took the Disappearing Cream to the shop, and I'm going to use that on my clients. This is the Vanishing Cream that Dawn had turned me on to. Because when I had originally bought the other one, I wasn't sure which one to buy. So I bought the other one. The other one's a little bit more menthol intense and less mint. This one is more aloe and mint intense. I mean, believe me, there's still plenty of menthol in here to cool your face down, but the aloe really helps out, and the mint is just tremendous. Now, some people will say that it smells like Vicks going on your face. Well, I don't agree with that. I like it. It smells like menthol and mint and aloe. It doesn't stay on very long because I rinse it off. Once again, I take a cold towel and I do my old Frito Bandito thing. I'll wipe that out, and then I'll do a cold water rinse. And then pat dry. Now, you guys have seen this shave twice now, so for the rest of my video logs, I probably won't go through all of that. But and then after that, I let that dry for a little bit. Now, normally that's when I would do my hair, but we've got the aftershave, Santa Maria del Fiore. Wonderful stuff if you haven't tried it yet. It's a little bit more expensive than his normal stuff, but it's worth it. Now, as far as the amount to put on, somebody had put that if it's a pool and it starts leaking out the hand, that's just about enough. And I agree. Rub it in the hands, and I don't pat it on. I rub it on. Let that dry for a few minutes. I'm going to go ahead and get everything cleaned up here. And then what I'll do is I'll come back with the camera repositioned to show what I do for my entire post-shave regarding the razor maintenance. See you in a few seconds.